Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
A 21-year-old Metro woman is charged tonight with murder. The Jackson County prosecuting attorney says it was retaliation for her 16-year-old brother's death. Fox 4's Sheree Honeycutt following developments for us tonight. She's live outside the Jackson County Courthouse downtown. Sheree.
Yeah, John, it's a tragic turn in the murder of 16-year-old Jason Ugwu. Now his sister is in jail, and prosecutors believe it was retaliation for her brother's killing. Christelle, for a family that's experienced so much loss, like you mentioned, the family says it's hard to believe that another child in their family is gone. Jason Ugwu Jr. hasn't seen his brother in years. Now his family says they're together again in heaven. Sunday night around 7:30, police say Ugwu was shot near Paloma and Topping Avenues.
They located a crime scene in the street, and they were able to do a little bit of investigation and located the victim inside a residence nearby, where he was suffering with critical injuries.
The 16-year-old's family says he struggled since his brother died in his arms around 5 years ago. 9-year-old Jaden and his cousin, 8-year-old Montel Ross, were shot, and their murders have never been solved. We spoke to Jason and his father in 2016 when it happened.
He cried, he just got hit and ran and laid up under his big brother, Like he knew exactly where to go for comfort, you know what I'm saying?
Jason Jr. told Fox 4 it was a difficult moment when his brother died.
I got to deal with that and still raise them. But what can I say to him? Because he actually held him. He held his cold body, you know what I'm saying? How do I teach my son to cope with that? And I can barely cope with it.
His family says Jason loved basketball and rapping, but fell victim to this cruel city.
It's not just the victim, it's not just their family, it's the neighborhood, it goes out into the schools. Violent crime kind of begets violent crime, and we look at risk for retaliation in some of these types of circumstances. It just builds on itself, and we've got to stop this.
I spoke with his aunt today, who says they're not ready to talk publicly at this time, that her sister has lost 2 children to gun violence, and they can't believe that they're going to have to go through this journey all over again. 21-year-old Tityana Coppage is charged with murder. The Jackson County prosecutor says she killed a man in retaliation for her brother's death.
Violent crime is a plague to Kansas City, Missouri right now.
16-year-old Jason Ugwu was murdered January 10th. His body found at a home near Paloma and Topping Avenues. Court documents claim Ugwu's sister then tried to figure out who killed her brother and seek revenge. Coppage is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Police say on January 13th, she shot and killed Keith Lars in a parking lot at Thompson and Benton in the Northeast.
They're recognizing adult problems. They're recognizing adult anger, adult disappointment. Sometimes they're finding adult solutions at too young an age to many of the problems that confound our city. That's what I fear we've seen in this situation, and that's what I think we're seeing too much of.
In 2016, both Tityana and her brother Jason experienced gun violence. An unknown shooter killed their 9-year-old brother Jaden and 8-year-old cousin Montel Ross while they were home. Their murders have never been solved.
When you suffer from a traumatic event, particularly a violent event, it does something to you. It changes you, especially if you were a witness to it. And so if you're a witness to a violent crime, you may not immediately notice the changes, but over time, it festers itself. And for everyone, it manifests itself differently.
Everyone I spoke to today says there are resources to help. So if you're stressed because of gun violence here in the city, there are resources for you. I did reach out to the prosecutor's office today and the police. They did not want to comment. I spoke with Tityana's family, and they did not want to speak to us at this time. Lauren?
We back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb. We on our way to Missouri with it. Killer City to be exact. All my guys from Kansas City, y'all get in the comment box. Y'all know we've been around here heavy recently. And I know y'all gonna know about this one. Now, the thesis for this episode is gonna be there is no expiration date on Get Back, even if it happens fast. And with that being said, today I have the pleasure of covering a female by the name of Tityana Coppage, whom I decided to coin Lick Back, but I could have called her Get Back, Revenge, Retribution, even The Score, but Lick Back seemed very appropriate. Now, we know some of the details surrounding what got her on Mobb ties, but I want to dig a little bit deeper than just the murder or the second-degree murder that she's accused of. And with that being said, we should start with the murder of her brother, which she is charged with avenging, who is going to be 16-year-old Jason Ugwa Jr. But I want to even dig deeper than that, because I really want to go into the mind state of Tityana Coppage and really just the family as a whole, because they dealt with a lot of tragedy. So you can say that she was avenging her brother's death, but as somebody that looks at situations as a whole, you could make a case that she's avenging two deaths as well as a cousin's of hers, because the family was first hit with tragedy on August 13th of 2016 when another brother of hers, Jason Ugwa, and her cousin Montrell Ross were actually killed in their Kansas City home on 57th and College. Now, according to media reports, it's going to say that they were in a living room playing video games when gunfire erupted through a window, essentially killing both young men. And that really put me in a position to think about the times we in. I always ask the question of what's the rules, what can and cannot be done when going through warfare. And a lot of times I get that it's no rules. So in this new, we can call it the slide generation, because that's essentially what the young niggas is doing. And in the process of sliding, that sometimes leads to people's house getting shot up. So I remember a time, and I always go into this, when there was no women, no children, no old people. Some people would even say no bystanders, but we've seen cases to where they target your girlfriend, they target your brother, and they'll definitely target your house if they know what's going on in and around there. But not to get too off course, we're going to have that tragedy that the family suffered on August 13th, 2016, and it wouldn't be 5 years later to where she would lose another brother, because on January 10th, 2021, they're going to say Jason Ugwa Jr. was walking from a BP gas station on Highway 40 and Topping Avenue, making him the fifth homicide victim of 2001. Now, at the time of his death, they're going to say that the 16-year-old has struggled dealing with the fact that his brother died in his arms just 5 years earlier. Now, reports in the media will go on to point Jason Jr. as a good student who loved basketball and rapping, and he just happened to fall victim of a very cruel city. And this is when the plot really begins to thicken, because it wouldn't be 10 days from the murder of her second brother where she would be charged with the retaliatory murder for the person she suspected to have murdered him. But the writing was on the wall, because days after, immediately the day after the death of her second brother, Jason Ugwa Jr., where she would go to Facebook, according to people.com, and post, "I tried to shield y'all from everything I had to witness as a kid. I supported everything and anything you wanted to do in life. I tried to give you the best so that you wouldn't have to look for fake love in the streets." So you could see that she was immensely heartbroken, especially behind that second murder, because it's like the popular slogan, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. You can never really get over losing a younger sibling, especially the gun violence. But when you lose two back to back as well as a cousin, ain't nobody can say the mind state that you're going to be in. That definitely puts you in demon time. And it wouldn't be long after the murder of Keith Laws Jr., who Tityana Coppage had suspected of murdering her younger brother, that police would go on to identify her using eyewitness accounts and surveillance video to track down the black Ford Escape that she had used in the shooting. Now, she would go on to admit to having called the victim before the shooting, and she said that she only did so in hopes of squashing a beef between Keith Lars Jr. and her father before somebody ended up losing their lives. She would go on to admit to authorities that she got into an exchange of gunfire with Keith Lars Jr., but described the situation in a way that appeared to be self-defense, explaining to authorities that he shot at her vehicle first and then she returned fire. Continuing their investigation of the case, they would go on to review Tityana Coppage's cell phone, and they found texts which she had sent to a contact that was listed as Auntie, asking for 45 caliber bullets, saying, "LOL, I used too many on bro." They also found another text which she sent to her late brother, where she would go on to say, "Sent the nigga to my brother. I owe him that body." So really, if it's anything we need to cover, we definitely gonna cover this case. And I want y'all to get in the comment box and let me know what y'all think about the situation. So she's still currently awaiting trial. We did see where 42 Doug and the baby offered to pay her bail. I did see where she was being held like on $200,000. I'm not sure what the situation with that is. But yeah, y'all definitely get in the comment box and y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. I know what most people would do in a situation where they suspect a person of killing their brother. But we have other people that will take other approaches, and we want to know what all of y'all are thinking. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all flood that bitch. Let me know where we need to go next, what cities we missed, what stories we hadn't told, what gangsters we need to talk about. And y'all hit the subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real Trill Spill shit is dropping. And we going to be back ASAP. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb, Mobb, Mobb.